Hello, I am Muchaneta Napel, and today we have somebody who is super duper knowledgeable, and I had the pleasure of meeting him outside the camera, and we had some really good conversations. So this meant that I had to bring him over here so he could share his knowledge with everybody. So Bilal, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. Do you mind introducing yourself to our audience, your name and your company that you work for?
Thanks, Muchaneta. I'm Bilal, founder of PaperTale, which is, we like to call it a transformative technology, which is using transparency and traceability in a new way by using blockchain and AI, where we are especially when it comes to social issues, we're using blockchain in a new way, like creating a universal social security system for the people involved in the supply chains.
Could you define what the word blockchain means? Because I know that it's something that's been talked about in the last, let's say, decade, but I feel like people don't really understand what it is. Do you mind defining it in the most simplest terms?
Well, a blockchain, we can think of another database which is decentralized, which means millions of computers are taking care of this database, and you cannot go back in time and change it. And so whatever is registered is basically, if it's a public blockchain, because there are some differences between public and private blockchains as well. But the concept of blockchain is that you cannot control the data, what is finally entered. You cannot corrupt it, you cannot tamper it, basically.
Okay, so it allows for the transparency that you spoke
Yeah,
of.
exactly.
So your solution sounds super interesting, but how could the fashion and textile industry use it to their advantage?
Well, blockchain means that it can create trust. So you can use it in two ways, like we're using in traceability of the materials and also the traceability of the people within the supply chain. So, for example, we have roughly 1,000 different types of eco-labels in the market, as per one EU report. And there are numerous reports telling that almost 70 to 80% of the organic cotton is fake. And the global organic cotton is 1.4%. So this tells you that without any visibility, without any traceability, it's difficult to control this issue. But then blockchain means it's another added layer of trust, because it means that it's not just self-proclaimed data. It means that it's once the data is there, it's difficult to tamper it back. So we're using blockchain to create these assets throughout the supply chain, starting from the cotton farms to the consumers, even post-consumers as well. And then we're also on the social side. 40 million people are considered to be living like in forced labor conditions, and as per one study, in the last 5 years, 10 million more have added, unfortunately. So when you look at the fashion industry, almost 70 to 95% of the garment workers, they're considered, they don't have full-time contracts. They're daily wages workers, and most of them are not even registered because that's where they're easily exploitable. So when we use blockchain in a new way, we create them a universal global ID, and we also connect the people with the products as well. So it's another new traceability of the people involved in the chain as well. So this new found traceability also is used for post-consumer as well, because now we need to trace our, for example, the waste issue. So we can connect products with the people as well, and how the products are being handled afterwards as well. So there are a lot of benefits we can use blockchain in a new way.
I do really like the fact that you are also focusing on the social side, because I feel that when it comes to the fashion industry and sustainability, it's always environmental more focused rather than people focused. So that's quite good for the industry, because I think they just don't know how to do it, and it feels like your solution provides that. So what have been some of the challenges that you've faced in terms of pushing this solution out?
One of the biggest challenges is quite frankly is the narrative challenge, because when you hear blockchain, generally you hear of cryptos, and sometimes there's whole area of blockchain which is about traceability, and so this bad narrative sometimes puts more challenges for real cases, because we like to take pride that we're one of the first ones who have scaled up a public blockchain solution. We have launched commercial collections, working with some high-end Swedish brands, and also some high-volume, low-price brands as well in Sweden. And So the real challenge, if you see, blockchain has been in the debate of traceability for quite a while, but you don't really find some scalable products in the market because most of these projects were driven by, quite frankly, simple PR needs. So we just kept developing, and there were some practical challenges, which were, quite frankly, not technical challenges in nature, but they were primarily the will challenges. If you ask me, like, so if the pilot projects are conceived from the beginning to scale up or to find solutions for larger industry needs, then the blockchain could have progressed even further in this traceability area. So that's, I would say, has been our biggest challenge, because when people sometimes hear blockchain, they think it's too difficult. It has its all own challenges. Like, if it's a public blockchain, people are afraid of putting their transparency, publicly, and then not being able to, like, make any changes. So there are a lot of possibilities here, which the public information is primarily is protected. And another big use of blockchain is the security of the data.
Yes.
So when you have blockchain traceability, this means that you cannot just make another wrong claims again. Just like greenwashing, there is another issue of the tech industry called techwash.
Yes.
What it means is that, quite frankly, we can easily fool the consumers and the market by putting a simple QR code and putting the same story behind with just digitalizing it. So we can call it traceable. So, but the real work, the real use of blockchain, if we put to the test, it has a lot of potential, and it can create this real transparency that will benefit not only the consumers but the whole industry and the people involved in the industry.
I remember we talked off camera because we had a conversation beforehand, and you mentioned that term turquoashing, and I thought it was so, it was so relevant because, PRs are using technology as a way to market their product, not improve their product or kind of like, longevity and kind of like commit to make that impact using technology. So I can understand your disadvantages that you're referring to with regards to PR companies. So on a positive note, would you say that you could help companies with legislation requirements that are going to be coming up for the fashion and textile industry? Could your product play a role?
Yeah, we are focusing on 10 really key legislations. When it comes to, for example, your forced labor ban, that's one example. When it comes to digital product passport, if you see, we believe that most of the regulations are requiring some kind of data validation. And data validation, the best data validation you can have it, the blockchain can provide that. And then on top of that, we're using AI as well for bringing the data acquisition a lot easier from the supply chain. And another, if you see deep down, most of the regulations, they're asking you to take a better control of the supply chain. And so there's a lot of data already existing in the supply chain. But the challenge is to access that data. And that's where we're helping. Luckily or unluckily, before founding this tech company, I also founded a garment company as well. So I was producing the textiles and high-end clothes as well, using Australian cotton to the finished products. And I had quite an interesting experience because, quite frankly, when you want to use high-end materials, for example, organic cotton, it costs more. When you really want to pay fair, like living wages to the workers, it costs more. The real challenge is the economy of this. So that was, in fact, the first motivation to create something like PaperTale, because we could not compete with the established big labels. So we said, okay, we can show proofs of our good practices. So this is another possibility of the people involved in the industry who are trying to have good practices, so they can use this blockchain and AI in a new way. Because that's where we have our practical knowledge has helped us a lot to polish this technology more. We've been working over 5 years, understanding the real challenges of primary data acquisition, how we can involve, for example, the aggrieved parties for data verification. So for us, it's not just the data acquisition, because quite frankly, blockchain is not a magic wand. It's just what you put in, it's just shows you what it is. So the garbage in, garbage out can be a challenge, when it comes to the data acquisition. So that's why we have a lot of focus on data verification. So PaperTale is about two prime things: how we can access the primary data from the supply chain, and how we can build tools and automatic data verification. So this is where we have learned a lot in the last 5 years, working with some brands and some factories as well, and we have been able to build more and more verification tools now. If you look at the traditional classic model of compliance, or is based on primarily audits alone. We're not against audits. Audits have done amazing work in improving the working conditions to some extent, but the results are in front of us. That this model alone will not work until unless we digitalize and we use better technologies, like which we're living in this age. Like blockchain is been around for a while. AI is, we already see the magic of that as well. So it's a lot simpler than we think. There's one big challenge is the fear factor as well of when you hear blockchain. It looks wow, it's something out of the world. But it's since we as PaperTale had a unique experience, so we were not primarily tech company, but we used our experience to create our own tech team to understand. So we have a unique uh, uh, leverage to become a bridge between the industry and the tech industry. So we have made blockchain adoption simple. So you don't have to worry about, for example, there's a debate about fluctuation of uh, the cost. When you, for example, when you register an entry on blockchain registry, it costs some money. So that's so little money, and there's fluctuation of that. So we take these things on us. We have made a very simple model for industry to adopt blockchain. So my message is that it's ready, it's there, it's just to be adopted. And this is probably the best way where we can create the real transparency.
I mean, I think it sounds like a really good solution, and I feel that the industry needs to be educated on what's available to them, and you've done that so well. So you heard it here. If you are interested in contacting Bilal, how can they reach out to you, Bilal?
Thanks. We are displaying at Munich Fair as well. You can reach out on my email as well, which is bilal.bhatti@papertale.org. You can join me on LinkedIn as well, and yeah, we're there on most of the social media.
Okay, so feel free to connect with him and find out a little bit more. And if you still don't understand what blockchain is, which I think you explained it wonderfully, but if you still don't understand, then feel free to also ask him some questions. Thank you so much, Bilal. I appreciate it. Thank you.